Tonight, an extraordinary survival as a tourist plane flips in the far north. All 10 people on board make it out. Happening now, rivers rising, storm warnings, the Gold Coast hinterland in the firing line again. Teens targeted in a holiday youth crime blitz, but victims demand more action after meeting the new Premier. Hero dirt bike riders help rescue a woman after stumbling across a hinterland rollover. The cranky tradies who tore up their own concreting during a dispute over payment. The spiralling cost of back-to-school supplies, expert advice on ways to save. And a Barbie blitz, Oppenheimer shines, and Aussie success at the Golden Globes.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Katrina Blowers.
Good evening. A joy flight in paradise almost ended in disaster when a light plane with 10 people on board flipped on an island in the Great Barrier Reef. The aircraft's engine failed shortly after takeoff. Rescuers saying it's remarkable nobody was killed.
On its roof, off the runway, a light plane carrying holidaymakers leaving luxury and almost arriving at tragedy, the trauma of their ordeal written on their faces.
How are you feeling, sir?
Alive and well. Very lucky. Very lucky.
It's virtually miraculous that the people would be able to be extracted from that aircraft and not have some sort of fatalities involved.
The light aircraft took off from Lizard Island on the Great Barrier Reef, but its engine failed during the climb. The pilot attempted to return to the airstrip, but during the approach crashed into trees and terrain 100 metres south of the runway.
Sometimes those runways might be a bit shorter than normal or a bit narrower than normal.
9 American tourists, including a 14-year-old girl and the local pilot, managed to escape the wreckage.
To walk away for something like that is just incredible.
But soon they were back in the sky, airlifted around 250 kilometres to Cairns by the Royal Flying Doctor and 2 rescue helicopters. One man had a fractured arm, another a head injury.
Otherwise, most are shaken but okay.
We're feeling okay.
Yeah, all good?
Yes, thank you.
Lizard Island has been an exclusive destination for movie stars and celebrities, but tonight the ritzy A-list hideaway is in an unwanted spotlight. Garth Burley, 7 News.
Now to some breaking news, and parts of the Gold Coast hinterland have again been lashed by a severe thunderstorm. We'll bring in Jordan Quinn, and Jordan, there was more heavy rain in an already saturated area.
Katrina, the severe weather ramped up over areas of the hinterland early this afternoon. Klagiraba in the Coomera River catchment has had 120 millimetres of rain in just 4 hours. That led to flash flooding. Klagiraba Road is gone under, as has Birds Road and Mystery Roads in Guanaba. Heavy falls are also being reported around Little Nerang Dam, which is spilling, and all that water is filling the Hinds Dam, which has tonight risen to 97%.
All right, Jordan Quinn there. Now to Tony Auden. And Tony, we have some more rain on the way.
Yes, we do, Katrina. It just is not letting up at the moment. While warnings have been cancelled on the coast for now, rain is still falling in a line over the Gold Coast hinterland this evening. Then into tomorrow, more widespread storm activity right across Queensland. The biggest cells should be out west, but we could see some pockets of heavy rain with slow-moving thunderstorms again for parts of the southeast. Wednesday also brings the threat of more storms. Katrina, I'll be back soon with the forecast.
Thanks, Tony. See you then. Meanwhile, there is finally power to the people of the Gold Coast hinterland who've been off the grid since Christmas. Roads are being cleared, schools repaired, but amid the big clean-up, another emergency was playing out at Cedar Creek.
In a Rocky Mountain canyon at Curtis Falls, a young man is lucky to be alive.
It's squeezing my hand every now and then.
The 22-year-old from Ipswich had been dragged from the water unconscious.
Tell me what happened.
They witnessed him fall 10 metres.
Did you see his head hit any of those rocks on the way down?
He was airlifted to the Princess Alexandra Hospital, where tonight he remains in a serious condition. He shouldn't have been here at all. The popular swimming spot has been closed since the wild Christmas storm and New Year's flood. But finally, some good news here in the hinterland. As of 7 p.m, power was back at 130,000 homes.
Every home has the ability to have supply once their installation is safe to do so. So, mammoth achievement.
But for some, That came after a gruelling 15 days.
You just got to keep happy, look at what is working and make it work.
There is still work to do, but now a quarter of 900 affected roads have been cleared. Council clocking up 75,000 truckloads of debris and 75,000 applications for financial help.
Go to the hubs and talk to council officers who are handling these grants, and they're up to date of what other grants are available.
The race now to have schools ready to roll. There are 20 still damaged by the double disaster.
Every child will be starting the school year with their own classroom.
Although in the hinterland,
the route to schools, I think, that is even could be in question.
The road to recovery here, a very long one. On the Gold Coast, Amanda Abate, 7 News.
4 teens have been arrested following a dangerous chase in a stolen car on Brisbane's north side. Today, one of Queensland's most senior police officers revealed his plan to crack down on youth crime.
Handcuffed, pinned to the road.
He's the driver. You're under arrest.
A joyride in a stolen black Audi coming to a dramatic end at Castledine on Saturday after a 20-kilometre pursuit on nothing but the rims.
They were live streaming from the vehicle and one of the juvenile offenders was making threats.
2 try to run for freedom as police track them from above, including a 16-year-old boy very well known to police.
One of these juveniles is a prolific, serious repeat offender in the North Brisbane area.
We can't show you his face, but this is his collection of other stolen cars broadcast on social media.
It's not to attain property for personal benefit, it's to live stream and to obtain notoriety.
One of the state's most experienced officers now in charge of tackling the complex issue.
For me, I won't be using that as an excuse, nor will I be using it as an excuse that there's youth crime problems throughout every state in Australia.
His focus this year is breaking the cycle of offending, early intervention, more support for victims and keeping repeat offenders off the streets.
Those serious repeat offenders that decide to put balaclavas on, arm themselves, enter people's homes while they're asleep and steal their cars are beyond diversion.
As Voice for Victims continues its own fight.
Today's meeting, dealing with their bureaucrats, they use words like won't, can't.
Ahead of their first meeting with the new Premier today, crime victims were hopeful, but instead left frustrated. They're demanding the government deliver on promises made more than 6 months ago.
The community is sick of this. I'm sick of this. I want to go back to my life. But these bureaucrats still keep thinking that it's a problem that we can take a year to fix.
A problem keeping Queenslanders up at night. The Premier chose not to front our cameras after this afternoon's meeting. The members of the Voice for Victims group have now given Stephen Miles until January 19 to provide a written commitment that the government will deliver on those promises made last year. They say if that doesn't happen, they'll be pushing for a royal commission into the youth crime crisis here in Queensland. It's a step they say they don't want to take, but they feel is their last and only option. Katrina?
Anna McGraw live at Parliament. We have some extraordinary video tonight of the moment 2 Brisbane motorcycle riders helped save a young woman from the wreckage of a frightening crash. It happened on a rural Sunshine Coast road yesterday morning. And a warning that some video in this story might be distressing for some viewers.
On a dirt track at Beerburrum, motorcycle riders Jesse Williams and his mate Billy Park see chaos ahead. A Toyota Hilux has rolled. A bleeding passenger waves them down.
You all good, bruv? Get the driver out of the car. Driver's in the car.
With someone trapped inside, Jesse wastes no time.
They're coming. Kick out the window from the inside. Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah.
We're trying to get her out now.
Kick it out.
Come on, Kelsey.
I'm going to drop this door.
The young woman is in a lot of pain. She's drifting in and out of consciousness. Jesse and one of the car's passengers work to move her out.
We're going to get you out. You're all good.
No luck. As the group waits for emergency services, Jesse tries another way.
Can I get behind it? Yeah, I can get from behind.
He climbs into the car from another window and, with the help of others, manages to free her.
You all right? All right.
The 18-year-old driver from Pacific Pines falls to the ground. Jesse uses his shirt as a tourniquet, the adrenaline still pumping.
That's hectic, eh? Yeah, it's still filming.
All three in the car were taken to the Sunshine Coast University Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
Thanks so much, boys. No, you're welcome, bro.
A hero on two wheels, in the right place, at the right time. Dante Chacon, 7 News.
Police from the Specialist Explosives Unit have been called in to dismantle a fake bomb designed to intimidate a Sydney man into putting away his Palestinian flag.
My partner and I are not interested in bowing down to terrorism. That's what it is. This is an attempt to terrorise us.
Police won't confirm if they consider the threat terrorism, but are investigating who's behind it. Despite the scare, the flag's owner says it's staying. A major flooding event is unfolding in Victoria tonight, with the state's central region bearing the brunt of heavy rainfall. Several towns are preparing to evacuate as water levels continue to rise, putting lives at risk.
In central Victoria, water as far as the eye can see. Paddocks now floodplains, entire communities cut off. This is Gornong near Bendigo. Residents wading through streets, sheep scrambling to higher ground. Backyards in Huntley underwater.
Water everywhere.
Roads now canals. In Rochester, floodwaters edging close to that of 2022. Tonight, residents there are preparing their homes.
By mid-morning on Tuesday, that the Rochester Township will reach 114.8 metres.
While in Seymour, most are hitting the road, not risking a repeat.
This house did go under then, but we just thought it's just best to get out.
Heathcote, the hardest hit, 184 millimetres of rain falling in just 24 hours. Records also broken in Bendigo.
92 millimetres, a lot of that actually fell in just a couple of hours.
Across the state, there has been over 1,200 calls for help, 38 flood rescues.
It's people taking their lives in their own hands and attempting to drive through flash flood waters.
Melbourne copped it too, the wet weather creating dangerous driving conditions.
The water's pretty much up to the seats. Can't open the door and get out.
And it's not just Victoria. Parts of New South Wales have also been drenched. Broken Hill breaking a 63-year-old record, almost half its yearly rainfall in just one weekend. Tonight, from emergency services, a desperate plea.
Do not attempt to drive through floodwaters. It could be the last decision you make.
Heather Richardson, 7 News.
Frantic diplomatic efforts are being made in an attempt to avoid an expanded Middle East war as the violence in Gaza spills over. The UN calling for the few hospitals still operating to be protected.
The staff inside of this hospital are heroes who are doing everything they can without sleep, without food, without knowing if their own families are safe.
Israel says it's dismantled Hamas's infrastructure in northern Gaza, but maintains the job isn't done. A cruel injury blow has ruined Sam Kerr's Olympic dream. The Matilda superstar is facing 12 months out of the sport after suffering a serious knee injury at training.
Sam Kerr, typically front and centre at Chelsea's Moroccan training camp.
First day in Morocco. Good. Sun's out, guns out.
Until the awful news was out.
Some breaking news now. Massive blow for defending WSL champions and current league leaders Chelsea.
Sports, 3 dreaded letters. ACL.
Apparently she was just running and the ACL just went on her. It was pretty disappointing, upsetting, so we had a couple of restless nights. But yeah, look, she'll go for the op and get her ACL done. I assume it'll be 12 months.
The Paris Olympics football kicks off in 198 days.
It's disappointing, she had a sort of injured World Cup and now we're all looking forward and Australia's looking forward to the Olympics and it's sad news.
Teammates sent their love and support on social media from coach Tony Gustafson. With her ability to lead by example, Sam's guidance and influence on the team is significant and, as a result, this will be an incredible loss for the national team. But Football Australia insist there's hope of a miracle by July 25.
Really, she's got to be up and firing in May and June to be good for July. The time frame just ruled her out as far as I was concerned.
This is just absolutely devastating, but just another player, right, that's done their ACL.
From the anguish of the World Cup calf tear, we know Sam Kerr is superhuman.
Kerr! What a goal!
The tally's since grown to 99 goals in 128 games for Chelsea, but demands and pressure only grow on a sporting icon.
The beauty of being at Chelsea is that there's a game every 3 days.
She's 30 now, so hopefully we're thinking one more Olympics, one more World Cup, so we'll see how her body holds up.
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
Performing the Nazi salute and publicly displaying hate symbols like the swastika have now been outlawed. New counter-terrorism laws in effect from today mean those acts are now punishable by up to 12 months in prison. The trade of flags, clothing and other Nazi memorabilia is illegal as well. The same rules also apply to the public display of symbols linked to terrorist organisations. Australian actors produced a gold rush at the Golden Globe Awards today. Elizabeth Debicki and Sarah Snook won personal acting awards, while Margot Robbie's Barbie took out 2 gongs as a box office smash.
Wearing an outfit inspired by superstar Barbie, Margot Robbie owning not just the look, but the title. Joining a lineup of Hollywood favourites for the first red carpet of the awards season. Glitz, glam, bold and themed. Oprah Winfrey in a nod to her movie The Colour Purple. But tonight's bombshell...
Oppenheimer! Barbie. Watch me.
The Barbenheimer Battle, starring Australia's leading lady, it won 2 gongs, including box office achievement.
It's about you. We made it for you and we made it with love, and thank you for loving it back.
But it was Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer that came out on top, 5 Globes. Winning Best Director, he shared a tribute to a late Australian legend.
The only time I've ever been on the stage before was accepting one of these on behalf of our dear friend Heath Ledger.
Melbourne's Elizabeth Debicki.
Happy to find you on the cover. I was like, we've got to go back because there's an Australian interview.
Nominated for her portrayal of Princess Diana in The Crown, a likeness that won her Best Supporting Role.
To my mum and my Dad and Kush and Tommy, who are in Australia, hopefully in their pyjamas watching this.
Success for Succession, starring Adelaide's Sarah Snook.
This is your possibly your second Golden Globe tonight?
Yeah, possibly. Here we go.
One to bet on.
Sarah Snook!
It was a yes chef to The Bear for Best Comedy, Emma Stone Best Comedic Actress in Poor Things, Beef Best Limited TV Series.
One new category has pulled music's megastar. Taylor Swift Eras Tour is nominated, just as Australia plans to welcome the pop star down under.
Not the Singers' Night, but it was the screen stars who shone after months of disruptive strikes, bringing Hollywood back. In Beverly Hills, Jacqueline Robson, 7 News.
Supermarket shelves looking bare. What summer storms mean for fruit and veggie prices, that's next. Police crack a cold-blooded crime ring trying to export Australian reptiles. What caused this hatchback to explode into flames? And why whales are creating these spectacular spirals in the sea.
The New Year medical test for all Queensland GPs. The official clinic-by-clinic bulk billing examination.
Massive declines in bulk billing over the last couple of years.
How much are you paying to go to the doctor?
Hitting the hip pockets of everyday Australians.
The new changes. Will it be cheaper for you in 2024? On 7 News. Coming up soon.
A truck-mounted crane has triggered a dramatic car fire after bringing down power lines in Perth. With the lines still live, emergency crews had to let the vehicle burn. Nearby business owners used fire extinguishers to protect their properties as the flames spread. Nobody was injured in the blaze. Australian detectives have smashed a cold-blooded crime ring accused of illegally exporting reptiles to Hong Kong. 9 packages were found filled with more than $1 million worth of native lizards and snakes.
They were tightly bound and wrapped and placed into different types of containers, into different brands of chip packets, different cylinders, packed into handbags, disguised around cereal containers.
4 people have now been arrested and 250 lizards recovered. Southeast supermarket shelves, normally filled with fresh fruits and vegetables, are empty. Extreme weather and growing fury over supermarket pricing is being blamed for the shortage.
The bare necessities, barely there. Fresh fruit and vegetables scarce on supermarket shelves. Spinach, rocket, green beans, snow and sugar snap peas, mangoes, broccoli, avocados and lemons in short supply.
Not only a shortage, but also a quality issue with regards to the product that consumers in the main consumption areas may see.
Extreme wild weather across the state and the east coast, destroying major transport connections and damaging crops, blamed for the shortage.
Flooding of whole orchards, buildings, cold rooms.
All this compounded with growing anger around the widening gap between what farmers are paid for their produce and what customers pay at the checkout. The issue prompting Premier Stephen Miles to pen a letter to the major supermarkets requesting to personally meet this month. Coles and Woolworths have welcomed the meeting as calls for an ACCC inquiry grow.
I certainly think it's warranted. Consumers are fed up, especially when you look at the cost of living increases.
Any food shortage should be short-lived. With growers across the country and local seasonal peaks spread throughout the year, industry insiders say the national supply chain is healthy.
Anything that we see at the moment should be limited. However, ongoing wet weather can lead to longer shortages or longer supply issues and may lead to some small impacts in prices.
Stripping shelves and wallets. Sally Guide, 7 News.
The back-to-school spend is about to put a big hole in family budgets. The supplies skyrocketing in cost, plus help to save for Queensland parents. Don't miss that story. It is coming up soon. Also, a driveway showdown. Angry tradies take extreme action in a pay dispute. Those details next. A gas station blast triggers a road inferno. A setback for a new weight loss wonder drug. And will going to the doctor be cheaper for you this year? Welcome back. A Logan tradie has taken the ultimate revenge against a customer he says failed to pay. He and his team smashed the concrete driveway they had just laid. But the homeowner has shot back, saying she wasn't happy with their work anyway.
This is what happens when you don't want to pay for works carried out at your place.
An extreme act of frustration. Jesse Crowe and his small team laid this concrete days earlier. Their final act, making sure their hard work would go to waste.
Should have paid. Now it's going to cost more to get it all dug up, taken away and poured again.
Jesse says he negotiated the $6,000 job with the homeowner. She paid $2,500, but wouldn't budge on the final amount after a dispute over the cost of rubbish removal.
You're in the trade for a long time and you're doing the right thing by people and they don't want to pay at the end of the day, so what do you got to do?
Didn't want to pay, this is what happens.
As a small business owner with a young family, Jesse says he's tired of being ripped off and has threatened this before, admitting at this moment he'd had a gutful.
I don't like destroying something that I've just built. I take pride in my work and I love concrete and I love doing it.
The homeowner says she was threatened after complaining about the quality of the job.
You're paying now, or we will smash the concrete.
You would have paid them?
Of course. But they refused to finish the job.
Well, as you can see, once the concrete has set, it has certainly left a real mess. The family say they do intend to repair it themselves. The incident happened late last year, but was posted online just days ago, dividing opinions, while both sides remain firm.
They did what they wanted, not what I wanted.
I just want to get paid.
A bitter battle with no winners. Steve Hart, 7 News.
Well, wages have grown by 4% in a year, the fastest pace since 2009, but still not as fast as inflation. The cost of living challenge has economists divided on when interest rates will start coming down.
They're some of the lowest paid professions nationwide: kitchen hands, cleaners, supermarket staff. But it's these hardworking Australians who have seen the biggest jump in their wages, up 6.7% last year.
We want people who work hard to be able to provide for their loved ones.
Overall, a 4% wage increase.
Wages are growing at their fastest pace in 15 years.
But as cost of living pressures rise with persistent inflation and global unrest, disposable incomes remain low.
We've got 4 kids and 2 mortgages. It's been really, really tough with the interest rates going up.
Every time you go shopping, it's gone up.
After 13 consecutive rate rises,
it's not enough to have rising wages. Wages have got to rise faster than prices.
This year, economists are divided over when rates will fall, the cash rate sitting at 4.35%.
We're expecting one more interest rate hike in February.
ANZ Research predicts that there are no more rate hikes from the Reserve Bank.
At least by the June meeting, we think the Reserve Bank will be in a position to start cutting interest rates.
On Wednesday, the latest inflation data will be released. The monthly figures are notoriously volatile, but the government is confident overall it's trending in the right direction. A dip below 4.9% will be a welcome sign for family budgets.
Yeah, more food.
Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
Air safety teams in the US are still trying to find the door that blew out from an Alaska Airlines flight. 171 passengers were on board when it happened, leaving a gaping hole in the plane. NTSB officials want help from the public to find it. At least 2 phones, believed to have fallen 16,000 feet to the ground, have been found. An entire road has been set alight after an explosion at a gas station in South Korea. It was triggered by a leak which sent a wall of gas creeping along the road. It's believed drivers mistook the LPG for fog before it ignited. Remarkably, nobody was killed, but 5 people were injured, and there is significant damage to buildings and cars. Queensland parents are being warned to brace for higher back-to-school costs this summer. But money experts say there are 4 key ways to save.
Many families are still recovering from the Christmas crunch. They're now facing higher than ever back-to-school costs.
Cost is front of mind for parents.
School supplies expected to set parents back $1,200 per child.
It's going to be more expensive this year than it was for families last year. We do see credit card and buy now, pay later spending skyrocket in January because of all that financial pressure.
That's on everything from tech to school books.
Electronic devices are no surprise the biggest expense in every state and territory, followed by school uniforms, leaving parents more than $200 out of pocket. Sports gear, textbooks and stationery will set you back on average more than $100, followed by school bag essentials.
Then you have excursions and camps and, that's one that can really catch you by surprise.
There are ways to save on back-to-school costs. The advice is to reuse any items possible from previous years, opt for budget-friendly brands when it comes to basics, and ask if your school has payment plans or financial hardship programs available.
They might have 2 incomes and they're not used to feeling this financial pressure. They're not aware of all the programs and the availability of support out there.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
Meanwhile, thousands of students could start school with no books due to delays at one of the Southeast suppliers. Sequel Books has warned customers it might not meet the Term 1 deadline due to staff shortages at its Willawong warehouse. The supplier looks after dozens of schools, including Brisbane Grammar, St Peter's, Kenmore State High and Marsden State High. Sequel Books says it's working around the clock to try to get orders packed on time. Queensland's bulk billing battle. Fewer doctors are offering it. What it means for patients this year, we have those details ahead. Low act. The woman accused of stealing from an elderly pokies winner in Caboolture. Why a blockbuster weight loss drug won't be subsidised. And a mesmerising moment captured why whales are creating these spirals at sea. A cold-hearted thief has been caught cashing in a ticket at the pokies stolen from a man moments after he suffered a medical episode. Police say the 80-year-old man collapsed and dropped his ticket after a win at a Caboolture pub in November. The woman then picked the ticket up and cashed it in as bystanders treated the man on the floor. The federal government is trying to stamp out abuse at children's sporting events. 294 incidents against minors were reported last year. The government is spending $36 million to educate coaches and parents on how to act responsibly. Patients are coughing up more to see a GP as the number of clinics that bulk bill plummet. It's putting pressure on hospitals with growing calls for an urgent shake-up of our healthcare system.
Medicare started 4 decades ago and boasted a strong selling point.
And the cheapest, simplest and fairest health insurance scheme Australia's ever had.
But today, many say it's outdated.
There's been years and years and years of neglect of the Medicare system.
The average out-of-pocket cost to see a GP has climbed to more than $41.
I don't go until I really have to because money's on my mind.
It just makes it so difficult.
The number of clinics bulk billing has dropped by 11% in the past year to fewer than 1 in 4 clinics.
Which in this case was largely driven by 514 GP clinics nationally switching from bulk billing to private billing.
Medicare rebates haven't changed despite inflation. They were frozen nearly a decade ago.
Everything has just really gone up, yet the rebate has not increased in any way.
The federal government has announced it would triple the incentive for doctors to bulk bill, particularly vulnerable groups.
Billions of dollars in new investments to try and turn this around.
But GPs are hopeful there will be a complete shake-up this year and that funding in May's budget will help. For the millions of Australians who can't afford healthcare, many have no option but to go to emergency departments, and that's putting more strain on public hospitals and frontline workers.
We need to take this as a dire warning of the future of healthcare in the country.
Angelique Opie, 7 News.
Weight loss drug Wegovy has been rejected for the pharmaceutical benefit scheme. It's considered a sister drug to Ozempic and has surged in popularity globally. The drug's producer argued a PBS listing would ease the burden obesity has on the health system, but their proposal was rejected, called overly simplistic and unreliable. It may appear to be a winter wonderland, but America's northeast is dealing with treacherous storm conditions. Up to 30 centimetres of snow has blanketed areas like Massachusetts. It's also caused problems for travellers, with multiple crashes on icy roads and hundreds of flights cancelled. Whales are on the hunt and they're putting on a show. Tonight, some rare video of an Antarctic marvel, how humpbacks are blowing bubbles to score a feed. That story is just ahead on 7 News. Time for sport now, though, and will Steve Smith replace David Warner as test opener, Alissa?
Well, Katrina, one of his teammates is against it. Hello, everyone. A 7 exclusive next, as Queensland's hopeful has a mixed night in the heat's heartstopper, but are test reinforcements on the way? Plus, Kevy's call, the shock switch to fill the Broncos' vacant centre spot. Australian cricket's million-dollar question may be answered tomorrow. Who replaces David Warner? From pub talk to dressing room chat, there's still no clear favourite. The only certainty, the new man starts under intense pressure in 9 days' time.
Time to relax for the Aussie Test team until the West Indies series starts next week. Until then, they're ready to be asked about nothing but David Warner's replacement.
Yeah, lots of questions, I guess, and some answers are going to come out pretty soon.
That could be tomorrow when the Test squad is named.
I'm not sure which way the Test squad will go and the selectors will go. There's some great candidates.
Those candidates: Cameron Bancroft, the leading Shield run scorer backed by Ricky Ponting; Marcus Harris, Warner's personal choice; Matt Renshaw and Cameron Green, the younger options; or the wild card, Steve Smith, pushed up the order.
He's done a pretty good job for Australia at number 4, so I wouldn't be changing it too soon.
I wouldn't like to see that happen, to be honest. I think breaking up Labuschagne, Smith, Head and Marsh at the moment will be a disaster for Australia. I think they've just got to pick who they think is their best opener right now, considering who they're playing in the next couple of years.
16 years after her debut, Elise Perry, sporting icon.
As Perry looks to go big, clears everything.
The first Australian woman to 300 internationals always a match winner.
Elise Perry not out with the winning runs in her 300th match.
Lovely to get the win, Mel. Probably just doing my job in the end.
The Aussies levelling their 3-game T20 series at 1-1 with a 6-wicket win. James Manton, 7 News.
The high-flying heat will be turbocharged by Test pair Usman Khawaja and Marnus Labuschagne for Wednesday's Big Bash grudge match with Perth at the Gabba. They bolster an undefeated Brisbane who cemented a home final in a final ball Hurricanes heartstopper.
Handing out the sponsor's product at lunchtime, the team in teal have made a knack of bringing home the bacon. Last night they did it with 1 ball and 1 run to spare.
I think the only nervous person was probably Tall Paul. Didn't exactly bowl it where he wanted to, but got away with it. And I think that's kind of a sign of our season so far.
Winning ugly, something the 27,000, including an open champ at the Gabba, didn't think could happen. Renshaw not doing his test chances any good, out for 5. Brisbane defending a paltry 132. Enter the comp's leading wicket taker.
Bartlett's on a hat-trick.
Xavier Butler 3 for 30, almost outdone by the rain, and an Indian-born all-rounder raining 6s.
Chowdhury advances.
Nikhil Chowdhury plays for Norths at Wooloowin, but he lit up Wollongabba with 55 off 38.
Chowdhury! Oh my goodness me!
They're the wins that mean the most, actually, when you play not to your full potential and everyone kind of mucks in, plays their part.
Now the Scorchers in a rematch of last summer's final.
That's definitely still in our minds, and I think that's why we have the motivation this year to really come out and try and go one better.
Ben Davis, 7 News.
Perth will be battle weary. They've sent thunder in tonight as rain threatens in Sydney. Cam Bancroft a run a ball. Alex Hales a little different.
There we go. Over the top. Brilliant hit from Alex Hales. Let's go.
How will Bancroft go? Big Bash straight after the news. Selwyn Cobbo will follow in the well-worn path of fellow Maroon wingers Greg Inglis and Israel Folau and make the switch to centre in 2024. The Kangaroos flyer will get first crack at filling the huge void left by Herbie Farnworth's Dolphin defection.
100 days since the grand final loss, 56 until kickoff in Vegas. Going deep into 2023 means every minute of this year counts.
It's actually our 3rd session back, so we've got a shortened pre-season, so we've got to ramp it up as best we can.
The biggest eye-opener from the session, Selwyn Cobbo at left centre.
His footy IQ is very good, very intelligent player, which is you need to be in playing those centre roles, particularly defensively. I feel that's where he's going to be a good asset for us with the way he reads the attack.
Farnworth's one of 4 who played in the decider and are now playing elsewhere. Kev is confident he's got the cattle to cover Flegler, Capewell and Palacia. The latter moving to the Titans under Des Hasler. Under no illusions, playing in a grand final guarantees nothing.
To be honest, I'll play anywhere he wants. I'll peel oranges for him if he needs that, but wherever he puts me, I'll play.
His first assignments in 6 weeks, a trial against the Dolphins.
A silver lining may come from Sam Kerr's devastating knee injury. As we showed earlier, Kerr expects to miss 12 months, including the Paris Olympics. She ruptured an ACL during Chelsea's training camp in Morocco. They're happening at least 6 times more to women than men.
There needs to be an investigation on why there is so many ACL injuries. I don't think women are afforded the opportunity, both from a quality, strength and conditioning point of view and the quantity as well, and I think that is a real key difference.
The Matildas great believes the foundations must change at elite junior level. Aussie tennis fans may have seen Rafa Nadal for the last time forced out of the Australian Open. The 22-time Grand Slam champ suffered a micro tear in a hip muscle during his loss to Jordan Thompson at the Brisbane International. With Rafa gone, Djokovic looking vulnerable, maybe it's time for new top tenor Alex de Minaur.
Ultimately, you got to do your best to keep your head down, play the matches in front of you, and I'm going to take it one day at a time, like I've always done.
Grigor Dimitrov looms as a threat again, breaking a 6-year title drought, beating Holger Rune at Tennyson. And that is sport, Katrina.
Thank you, Alissa. Well, time now for a check on the markets with Angela Cox.
It was another lacklustre day for Australian shares following new jobs figures out of the US. They were stronger than expected and raised more concerns about how quickly central banks, including our Reserve Bank, will cut interest rates. The ASX 200 down 38 points. All 11 sectors took a hit. Material stocks among the worst performers. One standout, Cali Metals, was red hot on its ASX debut. The WA Lithium Explorers shares jumping 80%. The Aussie dollar dropped below 67 US cents. Gold, oil and iron ore prices all fell. And more evidence tonight that Australians are getting on board with rooftop solar panels. A record amount was sold in the last quarter of 2023, enough to generate 912 megawatts. Collectively, they provided almost 15% of our national energy needs in the past month.
Star Trek fans have gathered at Cape Canaveral in Florida for a milestone mission to put a US lander on the moon. On board the rocket and ready to be beamed up are the ashes of the sci-fi show's creator, Gene Roddenberry.
This is almost full circle in my mind. You know, my father created this show talking about going where no one has gone before.
This will be the first soft landing on the moon in half a century. Creating spirals with bubbles in the deep blue, the story behind this spectacular whale dance is just ahead.
And don't put the umbrella away just yet, more rain is on the way. I'll have the forecast coming up next.
We have some incredible pictures now of whales creating unique patterns in the icy waters of Antarctica. Now, this is not a rare phenomenon, but capturing it on camera is.
Touring the ice-locked Antarctic, photographer Pete van den Bemd witnessed something spectacular and rarely seen so clearly. A perfect spiral made by whales.
From above you get those beautiful concentric circles, whereas if you're observing from the water, you might not see it.
This artful dance is actually a hunting technique, one of several in the humpback's arsenal. It's called bubble net feeding and works as the name suggests.
Their food is essentially driven into one area and then they'll come up from underneath and expand their throat and gobble up their prey from underneath.
The curious technique has caught the attention of marine researchers around the world.
As scientists, we don't exactly know how this behaviour has come about, but what we do know is potentially there might be some cultural transmission or teaching of others to do it.
Bubble netting has been documented closer to home on Sydney's south coast in 2020, but don't expect to see anything like that in the next few months, at least not until May when the Humpback Highway reopens and the northern migration begins.
A true conservation success story.
The East Coast population can be as much as over 40,000 individuals, and that's a lot of whale watching to be done in the 2024 season.
Perhaps we'll witness something as wonderful as this. Tom Hartley, 7 News.
Time for the weather now, and Tony, it was a gloomy Monday across the southeast.
Yes, Katrina, not too much colour in the sky today. Grey skies, low cloud over Brisbane this morning, and there was nothing more than just a brief glimpse of blue by this afternoon. Frequent showers and drizzle across the region this morning. That mostly cleared inland this afternoon, but we did see this little line of heavy rain on the Gold Coast hinterland. Warnings were issued there for some heavy rain and potential flash flooding. They have since been cancelled, but we've also got some large cells just looming west of Toowoomba. Temperature-wise, Ipswich, Archerfield and Bow Desert, and also the Sunshine Coast pushed up to tops of 30 degrees. Across the state today, scattered storms over a large area. Warnings out west with heavy rain there, and also those couple of cells west of Toowoomba this evening. Now onto the forecast chart. The trough triggering all of those storms moves a little bit further east into tomorrow before triggering yet another band of storms across northern New South Wales and Queensland. We're also expecting cloud to build across the tropics, and this could result in the first monsoon burst of the season. It's been pretty impressive seeing this amount of flooding without monsoonal weather yet. Across our great southern land tomorrow, a couple of showers around for Sydney and Canberra, Melbourne and Adelaide, looking at dry tops of 25 degrees. Back to northern Queensland, showers on the coast, storms on the ranges and well inland. We could see just the odd cell pushing closer to the coast here. At Mackay looking at 31 degrees. In the south, that same pattern. Storms inland, showers on the coast. We could have a couple of severe cells out west too. Roma, 33. Now across the southeast, again, that same pattern. Showers near the coast, storms inland. They'll be slow moving. We could still get a couple of pockets of heavy rain here and there. Temperature-wise, well, steady and similar to today. Redcliffe tracking for a top of 29 degrees, Chermside 31. If you're keen to hit the water, north-northeast winds on Moreton Bay between 10 and 15 knots. So in Brisbane, a couple of showers around, most likely peaking around lunchtime, then easing into the afternoon. 23 up to a top of 30 degrees. Looking ahead, again, some more heavy showers and a possible rumble on Wednesday, 31. In Ipswich, storms a chance on Wednesday, then it starts to ease back on Thursday, up to 33 degrees. Gold Coasters, Thursday is probably the pick of the next week. Then those showers increasing again into Friday and Saturday. And on the Sunshine Coast, after the next peak on Saturday, a brief easing trend on Sunday. But Katrina, don't be surprised if we have more wet weather lingering well into next week.
What happened to summer? Thanks, Tony. That is all from us this Monday. Thank you for your company. Have a great night.